I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on. What's going on, family? We are back. Man, have I missed y'all. And woo, when I tell you over that Thanksgiving break, when I was sitting there eating that food, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get back, because the individual that I knew was coming on today piqued my interest. Now, you've seen we bring all kinds of different personalities and business owners on this show. But when I found out who we had today, and I got a little bit of insight of what he does, I was like, oh man. I was gonna give you a little bit, but I can't. But before we even get started, I want to say thank you for everybody that's tuning in, because you are in for a treat. You're gonna learn something. You're not even gonna learn, you're gonna feel something, because this brother, he has a story that's gonna touch you and resonate with you in a way that you might not have had it happen before. So I'm not going to hold you up anymore. I'm not even going to make you wonder who this individual is, because he's going to let you know who he is, because by the time this is over, he's going to leave his mark on you. So I have to bring you the one, the only, Baron Lloyd.
Hello.
What's going on, brother?
What an amazing introduction. I hope I can live up to it, good sir. I appreciate it.
Man, I know you're going to live up to it just from the person that you are. And so from what I know from you, I'm not going to do that. How about Baron? Can you tell the people, who is Baron Lloyd?
I mean, first and foremost, Baron Lloyd is is a Muslim. I don't know if that's appropriate, but I mean that's my honest answer. First and foremost, I'm a Muslim. I'm a slave to my creator. I'm a slave to God. Uh Besides that, I'm a family man. I got 7 kids, 7 of them. Yeah, I started young. I'm married. Uh I'm very passionate individual. Things that I'm most passionate about are the things that have helped me the most in my life. And those two things would be number one, my religion, and number two, martial arts. So that's pretty much who I am. It took me a long time to kind of figure that out. I spent a lot of my childhood going through a lot of self doubts. I grew up in high school when like the Game and Little Wayne, and it was like everybody wanted to be a gang member, and I had like, but my mom's like loved the heck out of me. We was in like a nice neighborhood, but it was like so I went through like an identity crisis for a long time, trying to figure out like who is Baron Lloyd, like what are you about? So I made a lot of issues for myself. I ended up in prison for a year. My wife, my family, we made it through that. That was really hard. Got out, and it wasn't like everything was just good right away. It took me a little while, but at my lowest point after I got out of prison, I was like, because I turned myself in because I want to give back to the world, but I kind of realized like if you have a debt to society, I was stealing stuff from stores and whatnot, and it ended up catching up to me, and I went on the run. But I'm like, I want to give back to the world, and if you owe a debt to society, that's not something you can really do. It doesn't make sense. It's like what I mean. So I turned myself in. I went out to Vegas on the run with my wife, and we ended up coming back. And but I spent that year in prison. I thought I was going to get out and everything was going to be like good, but it wasn't. Um, I was feeling like I was drowning, feeling like I didn't have a sense of direction. I was like asking God, like, man, what's going on? I thought it was gonna be better when I got out, but it was a whole year of baggage that you had to deal with. And I was I never really understood like suicide or how a person could even feel suicidal or anything like that. But in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, this is probably like if this was cranked up like a couple of notches, I could see how a person might start feeling like they don't really want to be here. And like I said, it was a real low moment for me. And I was just asking God, like, man, what do you got for me? I know you can see me right now. And he was like, I heard like this whisper in my mind that said, find your nearest gym, like MMA gym. Because I was always like fighting, and I was always like talking about wanting to get into it and like actually learn. I did boxing like growing up. That was my base martial art. I started that in like middle school. Really loved it, but thought I loved it actually, but actually don't really like boxing that much. Just that's a sport right there. You go into a ring with some boxers, you better know how to box because they gonna mess you up for real. And so I looked online and I was looking at like the closest MMA gym, and the gym that was closest was actually 10th Planet Corona. Now I don't know if you know anything about the 10th Planet system. Also, I guess the third thing I should say about me, not only am I a Muslim, a family man, I'm a 10th Planet purple belt underneath Gus Zaldivar. The 10th Planet system is run by Eddie Bravo, and Eddie Bravo is he's like Joe Rogan's like best friend. He's always on the podcast. He's like some jujitsu wizard, and jujitsu is if you were to ask me what jujitsu is, I'd tell you it's like wrestling in cursive. It's pretty much wrestling. We just use strangleholds to break bones and make you unconscious. But yeah, those were like so. 10 Planet Corona was the closest gym, and then 10 Planet Riverside. But it was like kind of far. I didn't have a car or anything, so I'm like, okay, I called Corona. They didn't answer. I called Riverside, and I guess it's really like kind of weird how you got all these schools and they're really close, but like they hated each other, even though they're in the same family, right? I'm like, we just 10 Planet Riverside, 10 Planet Corona, but they hate each other. And so the guy that ended up like kind of bringing me in, his name was Randall Dolph. I hope he's doing well. He's a black belt underneath Eddie Bravo, directly underneath Eddie Bravo. He was like, nah, screw them. Come on over to us. We'll take care of you. So I went over there. I told him I had no money, nothing. I'll work hard for you if you give me a chance. You know what I mean? Like, I'll try to do my thing. And they was like, all right, bro, we'll see what you got. You know, show up. So I rode my bike every day, 4 miles there, 4 miles back, just training really, really hard. There I had like this natural aptitude. And we'll get into like there's what some people diagnose as a disorder, but I think it kind of sets you up to be like spectacular in other aspects of life where normally these aspects aren't so much highlighted. Like, you know, in school, I have a hard time, but you put me somewhere where I got a hands-on learning experience, you know what I mean? That I'm like getting it right away. And that's what jujitsu is, completely hands-on, and it's all in the moment. And I just completely fell in love with it. And that kind of became like, oh, okay. All right. I've always felt like socially awkward, always felt weird. But when I was at like my schools in jujitsu, learning my martial arts, learning MMA, because I originally got into jiu-jitsu for MMA. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fighter. And it just, I felt completely in love. And that, I was able to be me instead of trying to be like somebody I wasn't. I could be goofy. I could still be like, you know, I don't have to be all extra tough, because I could be as goofy as I want to be, and you can be as tough as you want to be. And if you're not good at fighting, if you don't know how to do this stuff and you on these mats, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. So it really helped me develop confidence and, like I said, become who I'm. You know, I'm not all the way myself. Yeah, I'm trying to get to that golden standard of Baron, but as we all are, as we should be, I think, every day.
Yeah.
But it really helped kind of streamline and focus that whole aspect. And because of that, I'm just incredibly passionate when it comes to martial arts, and not only martial arts, but specifically martial arts for kids. Because I was so rowdy as a youngster, and like my mom, she was a single mom. My dad was in my life, but you know, my mom was the main one there, and I caused her so much headaches and so much drama. But you go to these martial arts clubs where you put your hard-headed kid in there, but they want $200 a month or $300 a month. And if you're a single parent, that's not happening. You know what I mean? And so I kind of like my whole thing is like there's like a whole news report that they did out here on me. I did a free summer program for the kids just because like it's a bully proof. I feel like introducing martial arts to kids at a young age will help them, and like the same way it helped me. But if you do it at a younger age, you hopefully won't have to go through half of the drama I put myself and my family through, because you'll have the confidence to be yourself. You won't have to be scared. And typically the worst type of stuff happens when a person is scared. They'll do something crazy. But if you know how to defend yourself, you can carry yourself like, bro, like chill. You know what I mean? Like, I don't gotta, you know what I mean? It's just, it really helped me out. So I've become just really passionate for that, trying to get my school really established out here. But it's been a little difficult. But sorry, I didn't mean to go on this whole rant. I've been talking for like 10 minutes. But yeah, that's me, pretty much.
Nah, man, you didn't go on a tirade, because that's the whole purpose. We want to know who you are, and you said so many things that like hit home for so many people that they don't realize. Like for example, you said you want to give back, but you couldn't give back because you still owe society. And I want people to understand what you mean. Like in life, you have to pay that bill. It's a bill that's gonna cost you. You either pay in the beginning or you pay in the end. But either way it goes, you're gonna have to pay that bill of life. And the things that you went through in the beginning, you realize before I can make that change to be the person that I'm supposed to be, who God wants me to be, who I need to be to give back to the world, I gotta pay this debt back. But you touched on one thing that I want you to kind of clarify to help, because somebody out there might be going through this. When you said there were certain times in your life where you were down, depressed, you even had those suicidal ideations, like if it would have went another level or two up, that could be me. For somebody that's dealing with something like that, like what are those things that you did or went through, or that whole mindset that helped you say, like, I have to make it through this. Like there's more for me out there. Like the world needs me. So I have to fight through this. Because like you said, you've been fighting all your life. How did you fight through that part of your life?
Really, I'll be honest with you. Um, a lot of my life, I thought I was a lot stronger than I actually was. Um, like when you never actually lift weight, you could look at something and be like, "Oh, that's light,"
Yeah.
but and you could think that, "Oh, I'd be able to do that." You tell yourself, "Oh, give me a chance, give me a shot, give me a shot at being a grown up, give me a shot at being out on my own." Um, when I when life started hitting me, just like regular life, like not even like crazy, just like bills and
Yeah.
kids and just baby mama drama, marriage, all that. I realized like I'm actually pretty weak. I'm actually way weaker than I thought, and it bothered me, and it still does because I'm still weak. It's like I said, every day we trying to get to that golden standard, and that's where the second, or really the first part of the introduction really came through for me was my religion. And because, man, I mean, we are created weak. Like that's just it. Like you
Yeah.
can think all you want, but we have no real power. Everything we have is by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Anything, like just being able to have this conversation, being able to say these next words, it's all gifts. Your next heartbeat, you know what I mean? Your next breath, none of it's promised. And when I realized that I needed some help because I
Yeah.
can't do it on my own, and I was comfortable enough to be, and to like it was like, oh, you do have like the ultimate big homie, right? You
Yeah.
you claim you did all this work because I wasn't born into Islam. I did a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of studying, a lot of like because I was born into a Seventh-day Adventist household, so it took like I did some work, you know what I mean, to get here. And I was like, God is real, and yet and still you over here trying to bend the world like you have some sort of power to do something, and the world is just gonna beat you up, bro. So you might
Yeah.
as well rely on your biggest homie, the one who's got the ultimate view, and chill. And that's, I mean, because I had to kind of relax. I had to kind of, because there was some stuff that was seeming like it was spiraling out of control for me. And I said, as long as I was just dependent on myself, it was there was no real peace. And really that's never changed. From this has been about 4 or 5 years where I kind of just had this, like, in the eye of the storm, like certain things that we be going through, like people be complaining to me at work about, like, oh man, this is happening. And I'll be like, bro, like you have you have no idea. But I'm not about to sit here and complain about it. Not to you. I'm gonna complain to the one who could do something about it. You know what I mean? Ask him to help me out. And like I said, that's where I really derive all of my strength. That's what has made me a much better person. Any goodness that I have really came from studying my religion. Any strength that I have came from knowing that I have a creator that loves me and wants the best for me, and knowing that, even having that certainty of having a creator, it's a gift. So I don't know. I derive my strength from my weakness. Knowing that I'm weak, it's
Yeah.
like it kind of takes away the pressure. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put forth all the effort I can. I'm gonna do my best, and sometimes I'll fall short. But I know that as long as I'm putting forth my best foot and I'm being sincere, that because my creator, he's been, God, he does so much. It's just he's taking me through so much
Yeah.
that why would I be why do I need to worry as long as I'm doing my part? You know, he's got it, and that's where the strength comes from. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't. If I didn't have my connection with my creator, I'll be telling my wife this, like, how to, I'm not like trying to like be polarizing or anything, But I'd be
Yeah.
kind of wondering, like, how do people that don't have the connection like established with their creator, like, how do they get through like life? Because like, if I didn't know that there was like something bigger going on, this world is crazy. You know, it's a meat grinder. You see, that's terrible. Like, if you don't have any perspective, so it's
Man,
like
you're
this
right.
ain't the end. This is the testing ground. This is the proving ground over here. So you know, it's not supposed to be nice. And if you know, anyways, that's another thing. But the strength comes from just my connection with my creator, knowing that he's there for me, he's got my back, and that's it. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably just be really depressed and just a sad individual, honestly, because it's cold out here.
Nah, that makes sense. That makes sense because so many people, like you said, like it's not even the big things in life. It's actually just the normal, everyday, regular things. But I think for most of us, we multiply and amplify because we're trying to control and bend the world and bend life how we want it to be. And so we basically trump up something that's just like everyday life for people. And like you said, somebody's at work complaining to you, and you're like, that's not, you're complaining about that. Like, we're all going through this. But we, as usual, want things to go and conform a certain way for us, that when it doesn't, we amplify it and make it worse. And I like that part about you saying you had to find that inner peace, because I believe we make those problems for ourselves because we don't find that inner peace. And I tell everybody all the time, like, it doesn't matter what you believe, like whatever your religion may be. I have this thought in my head that long as you're trying to be a good person and understand that there is a higher being that you need, like there's somebody that you need. For me, I call him God, Jesus. Like, that's my higher being, as you say, the big brother, the big homie. Like, I know he's there, and that's what I need to get through life. But it's only up to that individual to understand that you need that outside perspective. You can't do it on your own. Like, it's impossible. You can't do anything in life alone. Like, you have to have help as you go through it. And it leads me to ask you this question, because when you realize you needed that help and that thing to get you going through, what about that kind of transformed and made you say, like, hey, if I need this and this is support I needed, or the person I needed when I was coming up, now I'm going to reach back around and help those, because you said those younger kids, like, find that source that I needed, and hopefully this can help them, like through martial arts, through jiu-jitsu. Like what was it that made you say, this is my next thing, this is how I'm going to help give back?
Well, because I grew up like not feeling like I was really good at anything, and except for like video games, like school, or my cousins, my sisters, like everybody was like doing great, and I was just like struggling, fighting in school and stuff. And when I found martial arts, it was like, oh, I'm good at this. Like, you know, I would always see people that could like sing naturally, or that could like, you know, paint really well. I'd be like, where's mine? Where is it? Like, we all supposed to have something, right? I'm like looking around, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I can't sing, I can't dance, I'm shy. Like, you know, I could write, but I don't like writing. So it's like, what is it? Where's this? So then when I found the martial arts, it was like a missing piece of my life. I lived, I think I was like 22, 21 when I found jiu-jitsu, when I got out of prison. And I was like, okay, we're gonna try this. And so like jiu-jitsu is kind of notorious. It'd be like, you could say, you say like, oh, how long does it take your average person to become a black belt? And you'll hear the response, your average person will never become a black belt, right? Because that's what you always hear, right? But like for real though, it's like 10 to 12 year process. You know what I mean? It's about the same amount of time to get your like doctor degree to become like a doctor as it takes to get your black belt typically.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's a very like in like certain martial arts like karate, whatever, you have kids that are black belts. You know what I mean? So it kind of like messed up the whole, like, people got it messed up. That's like a pay to win system. And jiu-jitsu doesn't lie. You have to be skilled at this in order to do good. So to get promoted is like, it takes time typically. I I started getting MMA fights. My first like 4 MMA fights, I won in the first minute by submission. Like,
Oh wow.
all of a blessed of a minute. Most of them are on YouTube too. There's a couple of my losses. I got a couple losses on there too. But there are some wins on there. But it was like, it was crazy. I was going through tournaments, just like wow, like this is like, where's it been? You know what I mean? And here it is. I'm doing great. I got promoted in 4 months, which is kind of crazy. Like, most of the time it takes at least 2 years to get your blue belt. I got my blue belt in 4 months. I'm now a purple belt, which is the next level. And it's been like, I've been practicing for about 7 years, 8 years.
Wow.
And I still got 2 more belts to go before I hit black, or before I hit, I got brown and then black. So it's like, and I'm kind of far removed. Like, my school is, that's another thing. But because I didn't have anything that I felt like I was good at, when I finally found martial arts, it was like, okay, I can't teach a person how to be, Beethoven. I can't teach you how to ice skate well. I can't teach you how to do any of these random things well. What I can teach you is how to defend yourself. And I could tell you why that's important, because it's going to give you the confidence to not have to trip. If you know that you could defend yourself, you don't have to worry about pulling out guns or knives or any of that stuff. If you understand cues and stuff, you start to understand, you have a defensive mind. I'm like, I understand this stuff. I started working, I was doing security, and it started getting rowdy. Like, I was fighting like multiple people at once, I had to start learning like different courses because I was a little bit rough. Like, people get on my nerves, and I kind of talk to them a little bit rough, and that would like aggravate the situation. So I had to like read a book on like verbal judo and body language and all that stuff to try and like better my interactions with people. But I started realizing, like, okay, you really is going into like Matrix mode when you're having to fight these people. Low key, like, you seeing, okay, this guy, his nostrils are flaring, so he's doing an inhale before he makes a quick and hard movement. So you better get him. And it's like, I'm like, okay, so you have a skill here, and why not give it back? Because I mean, honestly, if I could have chose, I probably would have chosen to like be a singer or something. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if I could have chosen,
why is that?
Because I like to sing and I can't sing. You know what I mean? like, that's rough. You know what I mean? Like, I really do like to sing, but I can't. I just, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, I found it after all these years. It caused me a lot of problems because it was unfocused, right? As a child, I just had like this. I just like to just put my hands on people, just I was fighting a lot and stuff. But that was just my unfocused right? Because I had this and I love to do it. It's just my natural thing. So when I found it, I figured, how many other kids are out there just like me, being told that they're problem children, being told that they're aggressive, being told that they can't focus, being told that they should probably get tested, being told this, that, or the other, when in reality, they're just you, and nobody knows it.
Exactly.
But if you could get out there and get your message across, maybe these kids won't feel like you felt like you had no place in the world. Like, you was, and like I said, because of that, I went to heavy into the media, trying to be the biggest gang member ever with literally no gang affiliation at all. Like, just trying, like, because I just knew I had this. I like to fight and be aggressive, and I guess gang banging, right? Because again, no affiliation whatsoever. My mom loved the heck out of me, kept me out of the streets completely. I really made my own problems there. But it was like, how many other kids are suffering? How many parents are like, man, what's wrong with my kid? Why is he just bouncing off the walls? Go have him run some laps. Have him do like an hour of jujitsu. He's gonna come home, eat dinner, and go to sleep. Period.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's what happens. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I got to get it out there, because so many, man, out here where I'm at in Minot, it's rough. Because this is like, really? Yeah, it's rough, because all of these schools out here, now, a couple of them, there's One. There's two, right? Where I'm okay with the coaches, but their system is completely pay to win. Completely pay to win. Yeah, you're locked out. If you're not able to drop like 2 bills a month, you're locked out of the system. So and my kids come home from school, and we out here in North Dakota. Now, I'm not like, I do believe that you kind of make your own reality in a certain sense, but there are aspects to the setting where it's like, certain racial demographics, there's, like the 1%, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. You get like some people, there's bullies. Like I used to watch TV and like see the bullies like I've been bullied, but it wasn't like terrible. I figure it's just like regular stuff. But some of the stuff I hear that's going on in schools, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
they said
it's
what?
Crazy.
I'm about to go down there. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm about to slap this person's parent. Like, what is happening?
It's crazy. It's
like,
crazy.
People getting hurt and kids. I'm like, okay, we need to bully-proof these kids. You know what I mean? We need to do it. So that way, I don't know. And like I said, that just became kind of my whole goal, my whole focus. Of course, I prefer to teach adults. Just because like kids are hard to teach, man. I got my kids and I teach them. We're out on these mats in my living room like at least 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. But it's like they're hard to teach, especially the young ones. They're all over the place. It's like, y'all need to learn this, but they're just flipping and spinning and dancing. And I'm like, that would have been me. But but eventually, like when one of them starts to win, right, or starts to like, okay, we're just one of them could just completely dominate the other one, and then the little one starts to learn, like, oh, if I do this technique that he's trying to teach me, I can actually beat this bigger person who's stronger than me physically. You know what I mean? And it was like, so I feel like it's something that every child, I believe that there's no such thing as a bad child, there's bad parents, but then sometimes bad parents really leave a stain on kids, and you have kids that are like, really have like, they really don't need to learn nothing how to hurt people. But for the most part, like, that's our future. And if we have a bunch of kids that's just either too scared because they've been bullied their whole life, they end up doing something stupid, killing a bunch of people with some guns or something, or you just got, just people walking around. And that's one thing that jiu-jitsu will humble a bully. You bring a bully to my class, you get rolled up by my daughter, bro. You gonna be humble, you know what I mean? You probably not gonna like it. You're not gonna want to come back, you know what I mean? But if your parents are real and they see you got a problem, they're gonna make you come to class because they don't want you to be that person, you know what I mean? And it's good for you. It's good for anybody, really. And that's why.
Man, you said something that's like sticking with me because it's kind of funny because you're just like, I love to sing, but I suck at it. Don't worry, you're not by yourself. I suck at singing too, so no. But it makes me look at it from a different view of the amount of people they're passionate about something. Like you can be passionate about wanting to sing or wanting to draw, be artistic. Like you can be passionate about something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's your purpose in life. Mm-hmm. So I know they say have hobbies and all that, but I think because of how society has us today, so many people think that their passion is their purpose. So they're out there trying these different things and they're wondering why they're not getting the results that they're supposed to get, because that's not what they were designed to do. It's one thing to have fun and enjoy it, but that's not who you were designed to be. And you said it yourself, like when you started to realize, like, I'm designed to be this person and help give back this way. Because now you're able to help those kids and those adults find who they are, especially in today's society, because you said it best with all the different bullying. We see so many different mass shootings and things like that in the schools. And the first thing they say is either this person was bullied by this group of people, like, and I'm not talking about just like at an elementary school level. Like we saw the shooting that just not happened too long ago at a college level. Exactly. Like they're adults and they're doing this because they're lashing out because they're getting bullied. And you found a system to help kids deal with that. Because I am a firm believer in what you said. Like when you have that fear inside of you and you learn how to face it and you learn how to manage it, it doesn't just come out, because we hear the older generation like, oh, kids don't fight no more. They just want to shoot up everything. And it's like, I think about, based off what you're saying, like, what was that missing common denominator? And it's like, growing up, we were taught like, hey, fight, like, let the emotion out. Not that that was a good thing. Don't get me wrong, because that could have been what you said, hurt parenting, raising hurt people, like hurt people raise hurt people. And so it makes me wonder, like, what happened in that transition, but people like you came along and helped people learn how to deal with those emotions. So I know you said that you love helping the kids and you know about that pay to play system. I mean, you love helping adults and teaching adults, even though that's your love, because remember we said passion, purpose. What made you finally say, like, I gotta go harder at teaching the younger generation, the people that were like me, or the people that need somebody like me? What made you zero in and hone in on that focus, saying, I need to help these kids?
Well, because for one, my kids, it started at home. Like I was kind of selfish with my training because I was so excited to have something that I felt like was mine. Because like I said, I never felt like I was good at anything. So I was just like trying to just get good. So I'm training with everybody and learning and starting to teach and, teaching adults, because it's helping me learn teaching adults. And, the kids are cool. And, if you get it, if not cool, you guys will just flip around on the mats. But then, they start coming home talking about kids is pushing them, hitting them, doing stuff. I'm like what? Like, okay. Why aren't you doing something back? And they're like, what you want me to do? We've been watching you this whole time, but you ain't necessarily been teaching us. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what to do if somebody push us, how to like not fall back, and like how to have a good stance. So if somebody pushes, they look stupid. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. I was like, okay. I realized like it don't make no sense for me to have all this skill and these gifts, and I am able to teach. I'm pretty good at teaching. That was another thing that I discovered through this. I never thought I'd be able to like teach, but I'm not half bad at it. People get what I'm trying to teach when I'm teaching them this. So I'm like, but why aren't my kids? Why aren't the kids that live with me? Like, why am I being so selfish with this? Why? I would have loved to have had a dad that was like me, that was like, that would like roll with me and like, teach me how to fight, because as far as I'm concerned, like my kids, right, they love like these superhero movies. They love like Marvel. They love all that stuff. And I remember like I was listening to a podcast, and I think it was like Jocko Willink and Joe Rogan. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're podcasters, but they're jujitsu guys. They're like really heavy into the jujitsu scene. And this guy was telling his kid asked him like, Dad, is there a real such thing as superpowers? And he told him, jujitsu, son. And I'm like, that's 100% true. Like, these kids, they love watching these people with all these superpowers, these fake powers. Yeah. But imagine a little girl who's 90 pounds able to choke out a grown man. My daughter, who is, again, like not even 90 pounds, she's probably about 40, 50 pounds. If she gets on my back and sinks her hooks in, she could choke me out and choke me unconscious. That's a superpower. You make it an adult. I'm over here, having a whole attack because you don't press a spot on my Adam's apple, and it's a forced response. Those are superpowers. So I started like trying to like get them to understand, like, okay, because I had to bridge the gap between kids and adults. Like I said, adults, especially adults if they've been training a little bit. That's right, because I'm a really technical teacher. Because there's so much, like on the surface level, just like anything in life that I've learned. There's a surface level, and then there's like the depths. You know what I mean? And everything is like that. And it's like the more you learn you don't know. But like because of that in jiu-jitsu, the way that I teach tends to be pretty technical. I teach a principally based, but it's also technical, and sometimes it can be hard for kids to follow. And then that's when
Yeah.
they're just like looking up at the sky, and you're like, all right, do this technique we just went over. So I had to like really learn, and I'm honestly, it's still a work in progress because sometimes I'm like, bro, I just showed you how to do this. Just like do it like this. And they're just, I'm like, all right, we need a second. Y'all just roll around for a minute. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there is like such a deep satisfaction seeing my daughter Kimani grapple with my oldest, with my wife Akin. He's like, I think he's like 10 or 11, and she's 9, really really wiry, and he's, you know, little 10, 11-year-old kid, pretty strong.
Yeah.
And it trips me out to see him getting frustrated, like
Wow.
oh, like, because she all on his back choking him out. She, you know, he trying to get her, she out. Yeah, I'm like, okay, you know. So that's where I started being like, okay, they can learn, you just actually have to really teach them. And if you can teach them, then the dividends, because tomorrow's never promised, you know what I mean? I don't know, like if I get, you know, if something happened and I'm before my creator and he's like, yo, so what'd you do with this gift I gave you? Gave it to a bunch of strangers. Well, why did you start? Charity begins at home. You know what I mean? Charity begins at home. So it's like I had to give it to my kids, and then I realized, like, okay, it's my kids that really do need this. And then from there, other, you know, we could, but that's where it started. It started with my kids, my own seeing the need for it in my own house, and kind of feeling guilty that I wasn't sharing with them this gift that I've been given.
Oh, hold on. You said some things there, and one of them, I don't even know if you noticed, but it's like a bar, man. Like when you basically said, when the kids look like, hey, like you have this, you got this thing, but you haven't really taught us. Like, I'm pretty sure there's so many of us out there that's so guilty of, we have this knowledge and all this that we technically aren't handing down or passing off to our kids. Like the first thing people will say, especially this day and age, is generational wealth, break generational curses. And the one thing that we're missing that mark on is you already have this knowledge. It's when are you gonna pass it on? You'll share with everybody else. We see podcasts all around the world now. Like podcast is a big thing, like podcasting and the stuff that's shared on social media. But it's like, how much of that information are you sharing back with in your own environment, your own home, like to pass that on so that the next generation is able to benefit and reap the rewards off that knowledge that you have. And man, that's something that is amazing that you touched on. And I'm glad you touched on it, because a lot of us can learn from that. Like, you gotta give back in your own home first before you can start branching out and passing out your gift to others, because the gift is meant to be given away. But what good is that gift if you haven't even given it away to the people that are right there with you, your own family, friends, loved ones, but you'll give it away to strangers? Man, that was amazing. So now you got my mind, you piqued my interest, because now you're giving this gift to your kids, your family, and then you said before you give it to the strangers. How does that work? With, you said the strangers, how does that work? Because I heard you say a couple times, my gym, my gym, my gym. How does somebody out there that might have the same gift as you, or somebody that's looking to build on a gift like you, how do they find ways to give back? Like you said, a gym or something. Like, do you have your own? Like, how do you find ways to give your gift to others when it comes to jiu-jitsu?
So right now, the thing about jiu-jitsu and the thing about this area is it's not really a combat like or martial arts area. This is more of a working state that I'm in, and I'm trying to establish myself and establish my school, because my school has a mission, and I want to be completely different than any of these other schools out here. But the thing is, it's been rough. That's the bottom line. It's like all this stuff. So I teach at the mosque. I've got my mats at the mosque and stuff, but I don't actually have a gym. You know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, you start in the garage sort of thing. Okay. Jiu-jitsu is a snowball, like fame in jiu-jitsu, making it big and getting paydays in jiu-jitsu is kind of like a snowball effect. You typically start off being a no name, then you get onto these cards or these shows where there's people that are watching. Like the one I'm gonna be going out to tonight. I'm leaving for in a couple of hours on the train. Is known as a super fight. They're streamed on this like Flow Grappling. It's a thing for people who love grappling enthusiasts. They all the top matches, like all the big fighters, you know, all the big tournaments and stuff are on this channel. And typically, if you do well enough on one of these shows, you know, you start getting calls. So I did this tournament a couple of months ago. Or I entered the black belt division, and the open weight division, because I mean out here I've been kind of dominating the competition scene in North Dakota. So I won like in my division, in the purple belt division, I won all the gold medals there were to win, right?
Oh,
out here. Last year my dad was out here. It was really an amazing experience because he had no idea what I even did. I got to send him home with some gold medals. You know what I mean? It was really cool. But I'm like, okay. And again, my school is in California, the one I'm from, 10 Planet Riverside. And none of my people are out here. None of my coaches, none of my people. So nobody gets to see anything that I'm doing, any of my training that I'm doing, any of the teaching that I'm doing, right? So I'm seeing people that I used to train with in California getting promoted that started training after me, like they're like brown belts. I'm over here like, oh my gosh. But I don't have any eyes on me. Nobody sees, you know what I mean? If I build the best thing in the world 10,000 feet underground, nobody knows about it. Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So my main mission right now is to really just try to get out there. So that way I could, because a lot of it you start getting, you know, sponsorships. People are interested in what you have to offer. And so after my last tournament in the black belt division, which I didn't win, all right, I got silver medals in it, but it was really like kind of like a test. I don't really have training partners out here. My training partners are my kids. So like these people are like literally training for me. Like dude was like 200 something pounds. I went at like 165. It was an open weight division. In the black belt division, his coaches, he's like on top of me, just smashing me. They're like, "Yeah, you watch out for this." I literally looked up, like, bro, like I think he's doing all right, man. He like, yo, obviously been training for this, but after that tournament, even though I lost, apparently I said something to somebody at another tournament, and this guy, like, I gave him, because I teach principles for jiu-jitsu, because I believe if you sometimes you get into like really like, oh, do this, put your hand here, do this, do that, whatever. To me, I'd rather teach principles that you could take with you that are not that hard or not that easy to forget, not that hard to remember.
Yeah.
It's like language, right? If I wanted to teach you language, would I start off with the grammar or the words? Like, should I teach you how to form a sentence properly, or should I teach you what a onomatopoeia is, or so, you know what I'm like you can start getting into the details, or you can really learn the structure of a thing. And that's what the principle based system that I use, that's how I teach. And so, and like I said, so I figure if I could get these principles out, and kids, they can grasp principles a little bit easier than they can grasp techniques sometimes.
Yep, they can.
So one of my first principles, I started developing more principles, but one of the first principles that I have, and it applies inside of jiu-jitsu and outside, and that's the breathing game. And pretty much it just means you have to monitor your breath. If you get to a point where whatever you're doing is unsustainable. If you can hear your own breathing, whether you're grappling, whether you're in a real life situation with your wife or whoever, whatever, and you breathing game, monitor that. And at the same time, monitor your opponents. You know what I mean? Because if they're doing, whatever they're doing is unsustainable. So it's like I said, principle-based teaching. But I told this guy that like 2 years ago, and then they saw me at this tournament the last time, and I got to do a seminar. I made like $500 at this seminar, even though I lost the tournament. You know what I mean? But that's how it works. Like you get out there, people see you, you get connections, and by the grace of God, people will become interested in maybe having you come out to teach. My main goal is coming out to Chicago. Everybody's asking me yo, you gonna win some money or what? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just recently lost my job, so I was like trying to figure out what to do, and a lot of stuff, like a lot of doors were just not opening, and so I knocked on this door, opened up. Oh my God! All right, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna go out to Chicago. You know what I mean? Since this door is open, I had people that donated to me to get me out here. I had no money, so I had like literally strangers donating, like, "Yo, we want to see you fight. We want to see you get out there, do your thing." I'm like, "All right, God," since because I didn't have no money, I put a Facebook request out, like, "All right, guys, I got this fight. They want me out here in Chicago in like 2 weeks." Bam, little thing. People started helping out. We there, but now my goal is hopefully I make it out there. I do well. I'm pretty confident in my skill, honestly, against my opponent. I don't really have too many concerns there. My main concern was getting there. I'm hoping if I do well enough, make good enough connections, maybe I'll get invited to one of these shows and they'll cover my travel, they'll cover my stay, and then maybe there'll be similar. I don't know, man. This is my passion, but I'm so like, I got so much going on like that. I want to put this, I want to build, I want to give back to the world doing what I love. But it's hard out here. I got these 5 kids and a wife, dog, bearded dragon. It's like with me just losing my job, it's like what the heck? How am I supposed to do anything? We working, we getting rehired and stuff, and trying to find stuff getting going on. By the grace of God, we okay. But it's like I'm asking God, like, okay, you gave me a skill set.
Yep.
And I want to use it and I want to give back. But I can't. But how do I do it? So I went out with this whole thing in Chicago. It was really me stepping out on grace, or stepping out really just all by the grace of God. Like that, I kind of forgot the question. I feel like we were like,
no, you are answering it. No, you're answering it.
I like a little tangent sometimes. And that's what I was going to tell you. It's real quick before we forget, because I don't know how much more time we have. This has been such a good conversation. This thing just flew by. But one thing I wanted to say is because I've been diagnosed with, and I know some people will be like, oh, that's a myth or it's not really a real thing, ADHD. I've been diagnosed with that since I was young. And I said, for me, like I'm real strong in certain areas, but like in other areas, I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
That's a lot of us.
But jiu-jitsu, so like there's this channel that I watch where it talks about ADHD in kids and adults, and the studies that have been done on the brains. Our long-term planning is not typically good. Like we're really, really bad at procrastinating. A lot of times we're either like now or later sort of thing. And most of the time it's later. And jiu-jitsu is a now thing. You're submerged completely in the moment. Yeah, when you're fighting for your life. Because in jiu-jitsu, you're either bringing somebody to the point of death, or you're being taken to the point of death. If I choke you out and you lose consciousness and we're in a real fight, you're dead, bro. If I want you to be dead, you're dead. If I break your arm or break your bones and you can no longer, you're dead. So that's what we're doing. Sense. And that sort of synchronicity between the mind and the body in this now survival situation, that's also extremely fun. There is, now, I'm not sure the studies, but I've done a little bit of my own research and I've kind of cross-referenced some of the top jiu-jitsu players that are out there.
Okay.
And they all got ADHD. I don't know what it is. It's like a thing, because I think it's because we're so in the moment. It's like all of our thoughts kind of just come together with this just like serendipitous sort of like the moment is all that matters in jiu-jitsu. And that's
that makes
where
sense.
ADHD people kind of thrive is in that moment. Like we're kind of good with crisis situations because it's a now thing. It has to be handled now. But anything that's like outside of like the now situation, we kind of struggle with. So kids that have like attention deficit, hyper active disorder, whatever, get them in a martial art. It don't matter if it's jujitsu or not. I prefer it to be jujitsu, honestly, because I think it's the most effective martial art. Really, it's, like I said, just ask my daughter. But any martial art, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate. Teach your kids, let your kids be coachable. They need to learn how to be coached. They're not going to like being coached. Exactly. But the kid that can't be coached is not going to be a good student. You know what I mean? Like, it's so many benefits to martial arts that I could literally talk till I'm blue in the face about it. And yeah, that's again. I think I went off another tangent.
No, you did, because for one, I'm glad that you can talk to you blue in the face about it, because I know for one, we got to bring you back on the show, because for one, I want to hear more about that. But for two, you're headed to Chicago, and it is. I want people to understand this, because we miss these points in our life so many times. We think that doors are closed on us, or being closed on us, that we don't realize that they're actually being open because of our perception of. Remember, we said in the beginning, we're trying to control and make the world bend how we want it to. Like, no, I'm sorry that you lost your job. Nobody wants to go through that thing. Like, that's an added stress or added pressure of like what to do next. But we're not realizing, like, okay, if you had a job, do you have that ability to leave and go to Chicago?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Like, how do things line up? So it might not always bend the way we want it to, but it always aligns itself. Like you said, you have this skill set. What am I supposed to do with it? Well, if I keep sending you over here, you can't utilize it, versus if I send you over here where you can. And so I definitely know we want you back so you can tell us more about, talk to you blue in the face about all the different variations of martial arts. Plus, we want to know the results of what's going to happen, not just in Chicago, but where you're going to be catapulted to for all the other blessings that are about to come happening. So we definitely want you back for that. So we also, before I let you go, how can somebody reach out to stay in touch, or reach out to ask you questions, or mentorship, or learn from you? Like, how can people get in touch with you in order to be able to establish that relationship?
So my Instagram right now, I'm in the process of trying to learn how to build a website, because I can't afford to buy one. Gotta learn how to do it yourself. Sometimes, you know what I mean, it's good. And YouTube is great for that sort of stuff. Anything you need to learn how to do, you could almost learn how to do anything on YouTube. But the best way to get in contact with me, any questions that you have, would be through my social media. That would be Instagram. It's been going. I've been seeing it go underneath the little thing. It's the Diamond King. Or Facebook. I actually got a couple of videos on Facebook that got like 400,000+ views. So if you type in my name, I'll be the first one that pops up, Baron Lloyd. And Messenger, you know what I mean? That's, like I said, we're at the ground level right now, trying to get established, trying to get the professionalism. I just got my little business cards printed up, and just trying to get established. But it's really a snail's pace sort of thing. But I'm always here. I am a big advocate for men helping men, because it's a cold world out here. And for men, a lot of times, I know I feel alone. I feel like, man, is there anybody that cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like any other, like, I could talk to my wife, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful. I could talk to my mom, and I'm grateful. I could talk to my dad. I'm grateful. But sometimes you just need like a friend, like somebody to holler at. So I'm always here. And so you can always reach me on Instagram, Facebook, and for now, at least, by the grace of God, I plan hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have an actual website. I'm looking to get an actual location that's not just the mosque. It works, but can't do too much down there right now except for just the pure jiu-jitsu. But I want to get into, I do what I call a practical self-defense system. which takes the practical aspects of martial arts, different martial arts, and combines them in a way to use them in real life situations. But that's for another time, huh?
Oh man. So
Man, this was so much fun. This was so much fun.
So I want you to I have this faith and belief. And it might sound crazy, but I have it. And so I've never done this before, but it's gonna happen because I'm gonna drop all the social media stuff in the description. And I don't want you to go nowhere. We're gonna talk a little bit more after the show. But like how he works, God has placed it on my heart. It's not just an in the works thing. I'm gonna talk to you after the show because I want to pay for you a website. I have a couple of connections. I'm gonna connect you with these individuals, and we're gonna get your website built.
Man.
So don't worry about that. That's gonna be taken care of. Again, I'm gonna talk to you more in detail after the show, and because of the time difference, because I'm overseas, I know it's getting closer to nighttime. I'm gonna reach out to that connection and kind of connect you to, and we're gonna get that website taken care of because I want to see you keep not just blessing and sharing your message with the world to continue to help these kids because you're doing amazing work. And anything that we can do, like we can say, connections and reaching out, we need to do it to help each other because I've been in those situations, like you said, like, man, am I the only one around? Or like, is nobody here to help? Like, somebody helped me along the way. People are still helping me along the way. And the same way you're helping people, the only way it's going to work to make the world a better place is if we all work together and do what we can to help each other. So, brother, I'm going to do that because you are a blessing, and I want to see you continue to bless other people, man. That's amazing what you're doing. Now, again, don't go nowhere. I want you to stay with me because I'm going to talk to you a little bit after the show. But on behalf of everybody, I want to thank you for taking the time to drop those nuggets and spread that knowledge with us. And I'm definitely going to be having you back on the show, but I just wanted to know and tell you on behalf of everybody, thank you for taking the time to talk to us tonight and spread all this love and joy. We really appreciate it, Baron.
And thank you guys for having me. Honestly, this was a blast. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much. God bless all of you.
All right, brother. Stay with me. I'm going to talk to you right at the show. But until then, Baron, I'll see you on the other side, brother.
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't know if I told you by the end of this. It depends on the individual, but I know for me, like hearing the story, hearing what Baron's doing and trying to get to where he's trying to be, like it just does something to you inside to make you want to just be a better person because we all have been there. We all have went through those things. We can't shape and warp the world the way we want to be. We have to find that inner peace within inside of us. And it may be something different for everybody. For Baron, it's jiu-jitsu. I've known people that it might be cooking. I know people that is working out, going for runs. Like I know different variations of ways that people use their gifts to give back because that's where they find their peace. And for you, if that individual is out there, if you have not found a way to find that peace, I don't know what you got to do. Reach out on YouTube. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe, share with me, reach out because I might have somebody that can help you find that inner peace and to help you establish your gift. Who knows? We can work together in the future, but the whole purpose of this is helping you utilize your gift, your purpose to give back to the world to find your inner peace so you can be a better person. Man, Baron dropped some knowledge on us today and it's all got us moved. But I got to thank everybody for tuning in. You all are amazing. I don't know who's the guest for next week, but man, that's going to be some big shoes to fill. But as always, you know they're going to fill it. Because why? We're all about people living in purpose around here, using their purpose to get to the next level. And you too could also use your purpose. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I want everybody to make sure you tune in next week, Thursday, same time, same place, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We want you to continue to live in your purpose. And the only way that you can do that is you must always live in your purpose, with purpose, on purpose. I love you all. I'll see y'all next week.
I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on.